Then we will be ambassadors.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wanted that title. Wow, that guy was going fast. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We have speed bump right there, and he just ignored it entirely.
There was a stoplight right up there, and I swear he was going like 60. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to stop.
Brake testing.
If we hear a crash in a minute, we'll know. We got a message back from the guy who bought it, and the message actually said something like, "Oh, pity."
Oh, bother.
I know. It was like Winnie the Pooh or something. Hi, and welcome to our What Sold video for September 8th through 14th, where we will go over every item that sold across multiple platforms. Let's dive in. All right, the first thing that we sold was a pair of men's Levi's jeans. These were found in a storage unit. We paid 28 cents for them, and they sold for $20 even. Next up was an Oneida Independence. That was the pattern name. This was a stainless steel salad fork. We got this out of a big bag of flatware from the thrift store. We paid 29 cents for it, and it sold for just $6 on Poshmark, which wasn't a lot, and we did not make a lot. But I will say that Poshmark has a new fee structure. Some people are unhappy about it because part of the fees are being assessed to the buyer as a buyer protection fee, and people are worried that that's going to decrease sales. But I will say that I recently purchased something on Poshmark, and I did not think the fee was over the top. It's not like Mercari where the buyers are having to...
all the fees.
Yeah, to shoulder all of the fees. And to me, it was a reasonable fee. It did not affect my desire to buy the item, but a lot of people are concerned about how it will affect sales on Poshmark. This new fee structure was rolled out on October 3rd, so it's been in effect for a while, but it was not in effect at the time that we sold this salad fork. So I will say that under that new structure, we would have made probably, another dollar or two. And that's because the fee structure that they've rolled out is much more forgiving for your lower cost items. Whereas before you got assessed like $2.95
yeah,
or something.
for everything. And we sell a lot of low value stuff.
A lot of lower value stuff because I'm cross-listing my older stuff first. That's why. So the way the new fee structure works, they're calling it a 1, 2, 3 fee structure, is that for orders that are under $15, you have a fixed fee of just $1. That's as opposed to what was almost a $3 fee, I think, before.
At least $2.
And then for items between $15 and $50, it's $2 fee. And then for 50 and over, it's a $3 fee. And in addition to the 1, 2, 3 fees that you're getting assessed, you're also getting assessed a 5.99% percentage of the sale. But that's in lieu of what was before a 20% percentage. And then the buyer is getting assessed a small fee as well. So for Poshmark, I do think they're making a little bit more in the long run. But for sellers, it is actually going to reduce our fees in the big picture. So the other thing they have recently rolled out is a closet-wide shipping discount program, which right now they're beta testing on Posh ambassadors. I am not a Posh ambassador, but I'm like about to become one. I have one more thing to check off my list, and then I become a Posh ambassador. So I don't know if that means that I'll have access to this beta program or not, but what it is it lowers the shipping fee on your entire closet to $5.95 as opposed to $7.95, and that is covered by Poshmark. So I don't know how they're going to roll that out to Poshmark sellers at large in the future, if it's something that they're going to charge for, like maybe it's been speculated that you have to pay for a membership or a monthly subscription or something like that.
Poshmark doesn't have a membership fee, right? It's just you just sell on Poshmark.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure what that's going to look like in the future, but it is something that is interesting and worth learning about. If you are interested in becoming a Posh ambassador, the way that you achieve that status is you have to have 5,000 community shares, 5,000 self shares. You have to share 50 new Poshers. You have to have at least 50 listings, at least 15 sold listings, and at least a 4.5 average star rating. Then you also have to have a less than 3-day average to ship items and leave at least one love note on a purchased item. And the love note item is the thing I'm waiting for. I just purchased my first item on Poshmark.
So we've done all the hard stuff.
I'm about to leave a love note. And then at that point, I will become a Posh ambassador.
Then we will be ambassadors.
Yeah, I've always wanted that title. So it does sound a little bit overwhelming to share your closet 5,000 times. 5,000 self-shares, that's a lot, especially if you have a big closet and you're doing it manually. So if you are looking for an easier way to manage Poshmark, manage those shares, manage those follows, manage offers, and have all of the hard things about Poshmark automated, basically, I would recommend giving Posh Sidekick a try. It's something that we use, and it has increased our Poshmark sales
definitely made us sell a lot more.
Yes, definitely. So Posh Sidekick is available for $29.99 a month. To me, that is more than worth it because it calculates out to less than $1 a day for Posh Sidekick to do all of that for you and for you to not have to worry about it. If you're interested in just giving it a try to see if it's something that works for you, we do have a link in our description box below. You can get Posh Sidekick for 7 days for free by using that link. And then if you decide that you like it and you want to subscribe, we have a coupon code, TheNinasJewels10, that will get you an additional 10% off of your subscription. So it's something that we use and we love, and it has definitely improved our sales. So moving on, the next thing that sold was a Mercari sale. This was a pair of Disney Frozen replacement boots for the Kristoff doll. We got these out of a thrift store toy bag for 26 cents, and they sold for $11.99 on Mercari. And like I mentioned earlier, Mercari has also recently changed their way of doing things, and they have no seller fees at all. The buyer is assessed all of those fees. So I do take that into consideration when I'm cross-listing to Mercari. I've been lowering my prices on items a bit because the buyers do take a pretty big hit now on Mercari with those fees.
Our Mercari sales have definitely gone down.
They have gone down. And we did lower most of our prices to accommodate that, but we have just seen slow sales on Mercari. Let me know how your sales on Mercari have been, because I am curious to know how it's affecting other people. Reading on Facebook and places like that, I've seen really mixed reviews. Some people say their sales are crazy good on Mercari, and some people say they've just completely dried up.
They're just crazy.
Yeah, maybe they're just crazy. Next up was a Riddell NCAA Auburn University Tigers replica mini football helmet. These sell really well, any kind of miniature replica helmet. We got this one at a garage sale for $1, and it sold for $24.99. Next up was an antique 1897 Ultimus was the publisher, and this was a Through the Looking Glass and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. These were antique books. And I will say that doing my research on vintage and antique Alice in Wonderland books, they can sell for a lot. So I would be on the lookout for those for sure. Any vintage or really any Alice in Wonderland themed stuff tends to do well.
These were very damaged.
They were.
They had a lot of, well, not very damaged, but they had quite a lot of damage.
They had a lot of staining and wear. I mean,
like pages loose, they all kinds of problems.
So if they had been in really good condition, they of course would have sold for a lot more, but we paid $10 for these at a garage sale, and they sold for $123.60, and they sold immediately. Next up was a 1991 Donruss Willie Stargell puzzle piece. This was Cevin's, and it sold for $2.29. Next up was a brand new in package 252 permanent file folder labels by Office Depot. We got these at the Goodwill bins for 68 cents, and they sold for $9 even. Next up was a Kinsmart Mercedes-Benz pullback die-cast car. We got that out of a storage unit for $1.16, and it sold for $15 even. Next up was a Masters Tech men's white performance golf polo. We got that at the garage sale where we got all the golf items. We paid $3 for it, and it sold for $31.98.
We sold something else today.
And next up was another item we got at that same sale. This was a Peter Millar crown crafted.
That's been a great sale.
Stealth pair of golf pants. We paid $3 for those, and they sold $35. Wow, that guy was going fast. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We have speed bump right there, and he just ignored it entirely.
There's a stoplight right up there, and I swear he was going like 60. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to stop.
Brake testing.
If we hear it crash in a minute, we'll know. Anyway, this pair of pants sold for $35, and I think that pair we sold today was like literally the last thing from that sale. I think we sold out.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
Aw. Well, that disappoints me because we were making like $20 a pop on those.
We did well.
19. I think we made 18 on the one today.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good sale. Next up was a Magic the Gathering Alliances.
Keljoran Outpost.
That's what it was. And this was a card. It was Cevin's, and it sold for $11 on Mercari. Next up was two 1995 Score football cards for Barry Sanders and Jerry Rice. These were also Cevin's. They sold for $4.35. Next up was an item, honestly, I'm surprised it ever sold. I almost didn't list it, but we already owned it, and I was like, I'll just do it. So this was a Liberty Imports, a brand I'm not familiar with. And after doing Google Lens, I found out that it was the driver from a My First RC cartoon car.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah. We got it for 16 cents out of a thrift store toy bag, and it sold for $7.19. Next up was one of the toner cartridges that we got from toner liquidation purchase that we made. This one was a yellow cartridge for an HP, but it was either a remanufactured cartridge or just an aftermarket one. This one we had paid $3.19 for. It sold for $19.99. So not tons of profit on that one. We're just happy to
get rid of these and get the space back.
Yeah, we are.
We sold all the ones that we're going to sell fast.
Next up was a 2021 LMC truck catalog accessories and parts for Chevrolet and GMC SUVs. This was from 1992 to 1999.
It wasn't like a manual or a part. It was a parts catalog.
Yeah.
An old parts catalog.
And I got this at a garage sale. I purchased a big box of gun magazines. I was purchasing it for the gun magazines, and this was just in there. And I was like,
I was wondering where that one came from.
I was like, just list it. Kind of the same thing as I did with that toy I just talked about. We had paid 38 cents for this. It sold for $17.99. It was, you never know what people are looking for. Yeah, so random. Next up was a lot of 4 Hasbro genuine Jenga pieces. They did have like some marks and stains on them, but we disclosed that, and they were like the original ones from the Jenga game. This came out of a thrift store toy bag for 22 cents, and they sold for $9.99.
Can't believe we made $4. We made $1 a Jenga block.
Yeah, we did. Next up was a 2004 Fisher-Price Little People figure of Sarah Lynn, a girl, lady, or mom, and she was carrying a green purse. This we got from friends and family. We had no cost, and it sold for $10.99. Next up was a leaf height. I'm guessing that's how you would say it. A one-hand cake decorator. And it was made in Germany. We got this at the thrift store for $1.62. It sold for $17 even. Next up was some brand Hoyoto.
Looks like Hoyoto.
Yeah. This was a power switching adapter cord or plug. And I don't know what it went to. I just put all the information that was on it.
Oh, that was that. We bought a video recording system.
Oh, yeah.
Like a FLIR, F-L-I-R. But we could never get into it, and it was broken, so we just decided to sell what we could off of it.
Yeah,
this was the power cord for that. So we made some of our money back.
Yes. So we got this at a garage sale. I said $0 because
it was on the thing that we had already bought.
Yeah. And it sold for $19.99. Because we did actually sell that Fleer item and then it was returned to us.
Because they couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
And we tried really
like
hard
password protected
to
or something.
figure out how to get into it, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
So we just had to donate it.
We just had to eat that loss. Next up was a pair of Hannah Anderson women's red floral comfort clogs. They did have a little bit of wear on them, but we disclosed that. These were purchased at the Goodwill bins for $2.26, and they sold for $30 even. Next up was a 33-piece lot of jewelry making supplies, different jewelry finding items, and it was from various brands. We found all of these practically in the Goodwill bins on a single day, and we had them all listed individually at first. And I don't think a single one sold. It was not a good way to do it. So ultimately what I did was decide to pull them all out and list them in a big lot, and they still took a long time to sell. So probably not a good pickup. But the reason why our cost of goods is so high, it was $20.88. That's because we had them all listed separately, and to keep all of our numbers true and real on our spreadsheet.
It's a spreadsheet, man.
Yeah, I did have to just add all of that up.
In reality, 33 pieces, we probably had no more than $10 worth into it. Probably less than $10.
And if we had originally listed this as a lot, if we had pulled them out of the Goodwill bins and originally listed it as a lot, I would have just charged
we would have added money to other places.
Yeah, I would have averaged it out with this being a single item. So it would have cost a lot.
It really means nothing in the long run.
So anyway, that's why it says that we did not make any money. We actually lost money on this, but technically, it's just spreadsheet math. These sold for $30 even. Next up was a Sony CyberShot digital still camera instruction manual only. And it was for the DSC S750 and S780 camera. We got this out of a storage unit for 23 cents, and it sold for $8.78. We got a message back from the guy who bought it, and the message actually said something like, "Oh, pity."
Oh, bother.
I know. It was like Winnie the Pooh or something. Oh, pity. This is the wrong manual for my camera. It doesn't go with the camera I have. And I'm like, well, I looked at the listing, I looked at the photos in the listing, and we had it listed correctly. We did not make a mistake in the listing, and it very clearly, had the information about what camera it was for. So they just purchased the wrong one, I guess. And I was like, I'm not even going to respond to this, because if he wants to return it, he can figure out how to do it. And it just really rubbed me the wrong way, because it was like, you listed it wrong. I mean, it did actually say something like, I purchased the wrong item because it was not listed correctly, or something along those lines.
Which is not true.
If I can find the message, it was from a long time ago, I will share it on the screen. But I was like, I'm not even going to respond to this, which is really out of character for me, but it just seemed really fishy. And eventually a return request was opened on this, but he never sent the item back. So
snooze, you lose, buddy.
I don't know what was going on with that, but oh pity, he never sent the item back.
Oh, bother.
Next up was a lot of 6 Disney Frozen 2 Adventure action figures. We got these out of a thrift store toy bag for 18 cents, and they sold for $12 even. Next up was a lot of 15 Farberware blue plastic cookie cutters. They were various shapes. These came from a storage unit for $1.16, and they also sold for $12 even. Next up was a C&F Home standard quilted pillow sham in a patchwork country cottage pattern. These were new without tags. These were gifted. This one was gifted to us from a family member, and they sold for $17 even. I think it might have been just a single pillow sham. I keep saying these, but it was just a single.
That one was a single.
Yeah. Next up was an eMachines Microsoft Windows XP Home Edition System Recovery CD. This came from an estate sale for 33 cents, and it sold for $15.99. It sold immediately.
Yeah, we bought a big box of software for like $5.
Yeah, and all the system recovery discs sold fast. Next up was a vintage 1996 Disney Hercules Fashion Secrets Megara doll replacement accessories. This came from the Barbie bag. We had no cost, and it sold for $12 even.
It's very small.
Yeah, we had a lot of small sales this week.
No, I mean, it was a very small
Oh, yeah, that
item.
too. Next up was a Masters Peter Millar men's green stripe performance golf polo. This came from that same golf garage sale. We paid $3 and it sold for $29.99.
See, there's another $17.
Yep.
We were just getting it all day. I'm gonna miss those.
I know. Next up was a Sony PlayStation game. It was Mercenaries. It was disc only. This came from a purchase on Facebook Marketplace that we made for a future video that's going to come out, and we will explain all about that in our future video. But we purchased these items for entertainment purposes and for the video, not for sourcing. But we sold them anyway because we didn't need them.
Yeah,
so
we're not going to keep them.
No. Our cost was very high on this item at $7.58, but that's why. So this sold for $9.99. Technically, we lost money, but
it was part of
the deal.
It was part of a bigger.
It's part of a larger goal.
Yes, a larger goal.
Next up was a Gideon Pocket Bible. This one was maroon, and it was from 2016. This came from the thrift store at 51 cents, and it sold for $11.99.
And those will sell all day for $11.99 if you have
perfect condition.
Perfect condition, and make sure you get a good color.
Yeah.
Like a solid color. A blue, a maroon, or anything, but those ones that have all like tricked out.
We call them the techno Bibles.
The techno Bibles with all the like weird graphics on them, they don't sell at all. We have several of those.
They want the classic.
You want the classic, looks like a Bible.
Yep.
It's probably embarrassing to pull that out in church. The big
techno Bible. Next up was a Martha Stewart Everyday Twin Size Chenille Bedspread. Got this at a garage sale for $3. There was a lot of interest on this, and it ultimately sold for $28 even. I think chenille bedspreads just sell well. Next up was a Vera Bradley navy and purple floral nightingale pattern laptop sleeve. We got this at a garage sale for $2. It sold for $19.99. We don't pick up Vera Bradley unless it is in perfect condition and cheap. But if you price them really competitively, they will sell. Next up was a Microsoft Windows XP Professional Dell PC reinstallation CD. This also came from that lot. Actually, this one came from a garage sale. This one came from a garage sale where we got a bunch of software and we paid $1 for this. It sold really fast for $13.59. Next up was a Cabby Women's Ivory Crochet Open Knit Lace Tank Top. It came from a garage sale for $2 and it sold for $22.38. It did take a long time to sell, and that is always the case for me with Cabby. I don't know if I overprice it.
I don't pick it up. If I see Cabby, I don't pick it up.
I have quit picking it up unless it's at the bins or something. Next up was a vintage 1978 Sesame Street Muppet. The research that I did said that this was a character named Gabriel, which I don't remember or know of, but it was definitely a Sesame Street character. We got this at an estate sale where this was the only thing we bought. We paid $2 for it and it sold for $18.99. Next up was a vintage Lone Ranger Safety Scout pin. We got this gifted to us to sell. We had no cost. It sold for $12.50. Next up was a Pipes of Christmas organ CD. This was gifted to us to sell. We had no cost. It sold for $19.98. Next up was a vintage 1993 Brighton women's black leather silver concho belt. This we got at a garage sale. I paid up for it at, I think I technically paid $40, but I thought that was a little much, so I rolled some of the cost into some other items. So on my spreadsheet, it says that we paid $30, but I did not need to worry because it sold for a full asking price of $99.99.
It was a heavy belt.
Yeah.
Big conch.
It was in
conch?
Concho.
Concho.
Yeah.
Conch is the shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, concho.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that called? It was very 90s.
It was very 90s.
It screamed 1990s.
Yeah, and it was Brighton, so it had a lot of things going for it. But we had so many people watching that, and I had probably, no exaggeration, sent out like 50 offers on that. And I was like, oh, maybe this was a bad buy. It's just not selling. And then somebody came and swooped it up for full price.
You just needed somebody who had the rayon shirt to go with it.
Rayon, really?
In the 90s, all my shirts were like really wild pattern rayon shirts.
Well, I don't know that you would wear a wild pattern shirt with that. Wear one of those pearly snap buttons.
Like I could have gone up in flames at any moment because I was always wearing that rayon stuff. Like getting near a cigarette or a lighter.
Wow.
Like
It's a pleasant thought.
they were very tacky. And all my hair gel, oh, it would have just been a scene.
All right, so that wraps up all of our sales for this week. Let's go over the totals. This week we sold 38 items.
That's 2 more than last week.
Which is more than last week, but we sold a lot of low value items.
But way less average sale price.
Our average sale price was $21.67, and our total sales were $823.50, making a net profit of $396.25.
It's not bad. That's not a bad week.
Yeah. We sold off a lot of older items.
We had a good week
too.
last week.
Yeah.
We had an exceptionally good last week, and then this is a pretty good week.
Yeah. And we're behind on doing our what solds. This is all the way back in September.
Wow, this is almost a month ago.
I know. Sorry. We've got to get caught up. Anyway, that wraps up all of our sales for the week of September 8th through 14th. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by hitting the like and subscribe button, and share this out to somebody who you think might enjoy our content. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the flip side.